Am I the a-hole for telling my husband's parents that they have a 5-year-old grandchild? A couple months ago, I found out my husband of 10 years has a 5-year-old daughter that he has been an active part of raising. No infidelity occurred, but he kept this hidden from me, and it is still a huge betrayal. He also kept this hidden from his parents. I've always had a great relationship with my in-laws. Over the last 14 years, they have truly become my family. My own parents passed away when I was a teenager, and they have taken me in as their adopted daughter. My husband's stepdad even walked me down the aisle at our wedding. My husband never told his parents about this child because he didn't want me to find out. When I found out about everything, I asked if they even knew, and my husband assured me they did not. He also begged me to not tell them. I told him I would not, but told him that he would have to do so himself. He did not, and this past Friday, the stress and anger all caught up to me. I'm not proud of it, but I got way too drunk, and I called his mom and told her everything. Now my husband's entire family's angry with him. His mom is devastated. She loves babies and toddlers. She always wanted more herself, or to one day have grandkids, and now she feels she missed out. And when he went over to try and talk to her yesterday, his stepdad came out and told my husband he wasn't welcome on his property. My husband has some mental health and neurodivergence issues, and my actions this weekend have caused some pretty bad anxiety spirals, and he had to go to the inpatient psych clinic last night. My husband is really angry with me for telling them myself, and the way that I did. He said that was an a-hole move. Now that I'm sitting alone in the house, I am starting to think that he might be right about that. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband's mom about a secret baby? Edit. I wasn't going to go into this because it really isn't relevant to the situation that I'm asking if I'm the a-hole over. But to ease all the inquiring minds, 6 years ago, my husband was approached by an old friend and her wife asking him to be a sperm donor. My husband and I talked about it, and I told him I was not comfortable with it, and he said he wouldn't go through with it. Supposedly, the friend pressured him, and he did it. This is what he said, so I don't know if it is true. I'm just relaying it as he told me. Friend's wife unexpectedly and sadly passed away, and the husband started co-parenting with his friend around this time. Friend has also lied to me and said they found a different donor. My husband is an active parent to this child now. She calls him daddy, and we are missing at least $25,000 from our family's finances that has gone towards this kid's care. He even lied to me that he was going to a friend's bachelor party, but instead went to Disney with his child and her mother. This is not just a case of him being a sperm donor. Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. Even if he didn't cheat on you physically, he knowingly created a child outside of his marriage, actively raised it, and kept it a secret from you and his family. This was wrong, and he knows it's wrong. Not the a-hole. Looks like he missed the memo on honesty being the best policy in relationships. Absolutely, with a caveat of, does this outfit make me look fat? Which is never a good question to answer honestly. On a more serious note, I cannot believe how much betrayal was involved from both the husband and his friend. Financially, physically, and emotionally. I have no sympathy for his supposed breakdown. I hope Opie gets out soon, finds peace, and keeps the in-laws in the divorce. He has a kid with someone who isn't his wife and he didn't tell you. No matter how it happened, that's a pretty huge secret. He's the a-hole. Not only that, but he lied about a trip to Disneyland that he went with a child and her mother on and said he went camping. I'm stunned at all the YTA votes. What the heck were you supposed to do? This is a huge betrayal. I would have definitely told his mom. She deserves to know. He's been keeping a secret this long. When would he actually tell her? I'm so sorry this happened to you. Not the a-hole. I'm so shocked by these votes. She even gave him a chance to tell them and he did not. He is the a-hole here, and the friend for doing it knowing the wife was against it. Edit/mini update. Yes, my marriage is over due to this. I am absolutely 100% divorcing and have consulted an attorney. Unfortunately, my brother-in-law is terminally ill, and I'm helping to financially support my sister and nibblings while they are dealing with all that. So the divorce has a pin until 2024 at the earliest. I'm probably the a-hole here for the way I spill the beans, but I am not going to beat myself up about it at all. I'm going to get some me time while my husband is in inpatient care. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my fiancé's family dinner after being introduced as his girlfriend? For a little context, I, female 26, and my fiancé, male 32, have been engaged for a year and a half. He was born in Spain, and his family still lives there, and in the time of our relationship of about 4 years, have not visited the States since. I have never been introduced to his family, not even on a FaceTime call, which I always wished changed, but he wanted to make meeting them special. My family have met my fiancé many times, and they all love him. We are also Dominican, so the language barrier with his family wouldn't matter. In February, my fiancé's family planned to visit for about 2 months since it's been so long. I live in my own place, so they'd be staying with my fiancé only. His mom, dad, sister, and brother-in-law all came, and they planned a dinner party with me and some of my fiancé's friends and co-workers, so more like a welcome party. I was beyond excited to meet them and finally announced our engagement. The day came and I went over to his house. My fiancé talked to me prior and told me his family is very outspoken, and if his mom says anything out of line, to not worry about it. He said this concerning our age, cultural difference, and my job, which is a special ed teacher, while my fiancé is a lawyer. I was kind of worried because I didn't want them to think poorly of me based on all that, but he assured me he'd be there to back me up. The party starts and I prepped everything, cooked the food, and set the tables. His parents arrived and see me and ask who I was. He pauses and says I'm his girlfriend. I looked at him shocked, and he gave me a go-along-with-it look. Beyond my better judgment, I agreed. The dinner goes on, and my fiancé's parents make a judgmental comment about the country where my family's from. I corrected them, and then she makes comments about my curly hair and how odd it was. My fiancé said nothing and tried to change the convo. Later on, it was brought up how young I was, and he says it doesn't matter. My job got brought up and they said there's no way I can survive off my salary. During the dinner, I completely forgot I had my ring on, and his mom spotted it and says, "That's not an engagement ring, is it?" My fiancé gives me an angry look like I was supposed to know I was playing girlfriend tonight, and says it's my grandma's old ring. I was fed up and said we have been engaged for a while and is lying to you for God knows what. I leave without saying another word and get a crap ton of calls from him. He said he wanted to get his mom's approval before announcing, and I told him, then what the heck was the point of engaging in the first place? I was just too angry to just sit there and lie to save his butt. He said his mom thought that was very disrespectful and immature. She doesn't see why I couldn't wait until after and talk to him. She completely dismissed him lying to her face, but that's not my concern. I left the ring in his mailbox and haven't seen them since. He tried contacting my family, but I refused to see him though until I get a true apology and not blaming me for this. Not the a-hole. So for a dinner party at this dude's house, you were expected to do all the cooking and preparation, then pretend to be only a girlfriend, so 32-year-old dude's mommy won't get upset? Run like the wind, and do not look back at the xenophobic, ignorant family, and make this dude your ex. Not the a-hole. Your ex-fiancé is an idiot, not to mention incredibly disrespectful towards you. I'm sure culturally he felt he was supposed to get their permission before getting engaged, but he didn't, and he needed to man up before you were introduced to his family. The idiot part comes in where he didn't talk to you beforehand and get your agreement that you would pretend not to be engaged. Otherwise, of course you were going to wear your engagement ring to meet his family. I mean, they didn't even know Opie existed when they arrived. They had to ask who she was. They didn't know he was seeing anyone. They didn't know she was going to be there. After 4 years. That's so far beyond play girlfriend for a night. There are so many marinara flags. It's like a dang lasagna, not the a-hole. Maybe Romesco flags. He is Spanish after all. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not adopting another woman's child? I'm 25 female. I'm single, live alone, and have a good paying job. Due to an accident when I was a teenager, I cannot have children. I have never wanted children of my own, so this is not as big of a deal to me as it could be. I have friends with kids who think of me as their cool aunt, and I'm happy with that. This is important because of a woman I know, Allie, 18 female, not her real name. Allie is the family member of a woman my brother is good friends with, who's become basically family. Allie lives with this woman, so my whole family knows her pretty well. She's a nice girl who had a daughter, Anne, 8 months female. Her baby was taken away from her due to suspected neglect. Allie decided to tell CPS that I was a safe person to place Anne with since I know the baby and live close by. I would not have had an issue with this except that Allie did not tell me. I got a call the morning after Anne was taken away at 6 a.m. while I was getting ready for work. CPS asked me to calm down and talk with them and take the baby until they have a foster placement opened. I got Anne and my boss was very understanding about me coming to work late. And with a baby, so I had no time to get a sitter for her. And I work alone mostly anyway, so she wouldn't disturb anyone. I had Anne for about a week, and CPS wanted me to get licensed as a foster parent so she could stay with me while Allie did what she needed to do to get her baby back. Then shortly after I agreed to get licensed, I got a call from Allie's lawyer talking about adoption. Allie did not want Anne back and tried to paint this picture of me being this infertile woman who could finally be blessed with a kid of my own. I struggled a lot because I do love kids, but I have never wanted my own, and this felt more like Allie was putting off her responsibility onto me. But Allie told me that I could afford it because I made more money than anyone else in my family/friend circle. I got pretty upset and stopped answering Allie's calls after I confirmed with her that she absolutely did not want to get Anne back. I called Health and Welfare and took back my offer of getting licensed, sending them an email from Allie's lawyer where she states she doesn't want custody. At the time, I figured that if Allie wants to put Anne for adoption, that she has the best chance of getting adopted while she is still a baby. It wouldn't be beneficial to Anne for me to foster her in hopes Allie changes her mind, and I don't want to have Anne for years and her start to think of me as her mom. I felt it would be less traumatic for her to get adopted while she is a baby to a family that wants and will love her. I truly thought that was the best option, and I felt I was doing the right thing for Anne. But now I am being called all kinds of names by Allie, and she is trying to twist the story to make it seem like I am burying Anne in the system. She thought that if I adopted Anne that she could still be in her life, but not actually have to be her mom, which is not what I would have allowed if I did adopt her. I am now questioning if I made a right call. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. She's a nice girl. Her baby was taken away from her due to suspected neglect. Allie did not tell me. I'm being called all kinds of names by Allie, and she is trying to twist the story. I'm confused. How on earth is the first statement here compatible with all the others and indeed the entire story? Not a-hole, except for the part where you really don't seem to see Allie very clearly. Thank you. Allow me to clarify because I can see how that's not clear. I meant that up until this point, I've always thought Allie was nice. A bit of an airhead at times, but always friendly. I am sad about this situation, and I think one day she'll really regret all this. It'll be far too late by then though. She might regret it, but more importantly, if you adopted Anne and allowed Allie to see her, it would then make you the person that Allie would continue to give her children to, because she sure as heck would keep popping them out. Not the a-hole. Sounds like she just wants you around for all the hard work, so that she can just swoop in whenever she wants. That was my first thought. Allie only wants to be a mom when it's convenient for her. She wants someone else to do all the heavy lifting. Nope. Not the a-hole. You went above and beyond a call of duty to take a baby in for any length of time. You deserve kudos for having the best interests of the baby at heart. Seems you're the only one. Stand firm, and don't become a parent until you decide you really want to be one. I honestly expected Opie not to take the child at all. What a twist. Not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not helping my sister with her newborn twins? I'm a 26 female and I have a younger sister, Sadie, 19 female, and we don't talk often. She lives in Canada with her newborn twins, Iris and Layla, while I moved to England a few years ago to study at my dream university. I ended staying here with my now husband, Louis, 30 male. Sadie got pregnant at 18 with Tyler, her boyfriend at the time. Tyler and his sister ended up in a car accident a few months after she announced she was pregnant. He and his sister didn't survive the accident. Sadie was very upset during the rest of her pregnancy, though my parents were luckily there to help her out. Then after her babies were born, my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer because of all of his smoking. My mom had to help my dad out a lot. I didn't have as much time to help Sadie with her twins. So Sadie reached out to me a few months ago and asked if we could send her some money every month so she could hire a babysitter for her kids and help my dad. Louis and I agreed, since we are financially stable and could afford it. She was very thankful to us. But a few weeks ago, she reached out again and asked if we could move back to Canada to help with the twins. This time, Louis and I refused. I feel like it's too much. We've built a life here in England, and my husband has a demanding job here and it would take him a while to find another one in Canada. My mom has sent me a few texts begging for me to come back, because they could really use the help, and now I feel kind of bad. Am I the a-hole? Some info on Tyler's family. Tyler's sister is actually his half-sister. They share a dad. His sister is over a decade older than him and has raised Tyler since he was 11. His mom died while giving birth to him, and their dad died of a terminal illness. Her sister's mom just wasn't in her life. You're not required to uproot your life to be additional parents to your sister's children. She was fine to ask. You're fine to say no. No a-holes here. She wasn't fine to ask. It's the most ridiculous request. She's a 19-year-old with newborn twins and a dead baby daddy. I doubt she's concerned with things like etiquette and boundaries right now. Ed is far more concerned with survival and getting the help she obviously needs. I'd cut her a little bit of slack here. Yes, knowing you're beyond your depth and asking for help regardless is a sign of maturity, but it still doesn't mean Opie has to say yes. No a-holes here. No a-holes here. I don't think your sister is an a-hole. She is scared and drowning and she asked for help. You said no and she seems to have dropped it. I am not sure if you texts begging for help makes your mom an a-hole, but she is leaning that way, especially if she doesn't drop it. People are not a-holes for asking for help. They are only a-holes if they don't respect your right to decline. And I do not think you are the a-hole for declining in this case. I agree with this. I can't help but feel deeply sorry for this grieving young 19-year-old single mom of twins, who's also nursing her parents through a lung cancer diagnosis. She really must feel like she's drowning. This isn't her asking Opie to come help with the kids, as much as come help with the entire family's crisis. Opie, if I were you, I would see if I could hire an at-home nurse or research local services that can help your sister and mom. If they belong to a church, maybe also reach out to them and ask for some help. There are things you can do from England to help alleviate the incredible burden without moving back.